I think those who possess any common sense, any memory at all, those who understand me when I say I don't trust the swamp, I don't trust the mainstream media, I don't trust big tech, they accept my opinion whether they agree or not. It's the funniest thing. Those people who I consider friends that might not agree with me still associate with me, and not with pitchforks and torches, since those same people know what being American is all about, and for the slow thinkers, it has nothing to do with race. But I had a friend say, I agree with the double standard, but they all do it, both sides. Now, I often hear this when I provide facts and or evidence that shows the left caught in the act. And while I respect my friend who said that, I'm not sure I agree. It doesn't mean I'm going to unfriend them, accuse them of being a Nazi, and never speak to them again. I simply want examples of conservatives and or Republicans using projection, transference, or the mighty double standard. But if they do exist, we will agree. And I will be just as vocal. And this is what most people don't get. If the roles were reversed and it was the world of conservatives that were censoring free speech, blowing comments way out of context, and pretty much using the propaganda techniques Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Lenin used to manipulate the masses, I would be fighting the same fight. And I think I know why this is happening. Those pro-socialist, pro-communist folks simply waited for the older generations to die off. The generations that remembered history. Out of sight, out of mind. Many of those pro-socialists are now instructing on college campuses. But anyway, give me some examples of conservatives applying similar double standards. And while you're writing those down for me, I'll go over some headlines by trained and qualified journalists, but you probably won't be seeing in your sponsored news feed, 6 o'clock news, or corporately owned newspaper. Biden's 100-day deportation freeze very dangerous amid pandemic. Migrants increasing at concerning rates. I mean, come on, we can't take care of the Americans we have now. Biden agrees with Trump administration's designation. Wait a minute, before the election, they disagreed with anything Trump did or said. We can't wait. Biden admin to push Congress for pandemic relief stimulus checks. Since they weren't interested in passing relief checks before the election, what you weren't told was that Democrats inserted a bunch of non-related agenda clauses that had nothing to do with the pandemic. You also weren't told that when Trump requested funding to fight the virus when this first started.
Did we vote on a supplemental funding bill? No. Nancy Pelosi, the only thing she would put on the floor to vote on was a bill to ban flavored tobacco. It was only a week later that we actually voted on supplemental funding that the administration requested.
She knew everything the president knew, yet she went toiling around Chinatown saying everything was fine. Biden says there's nothing we can do to change trajectory of COVID pandemic in the coming months. Wait a minute. Before the election, he said he would solve the virus pandemic. What a liar. Notice how the press doesn't call him a liar when he lies? Biden's transportation nominee says gas tax hike possible. Gas went up on Inauguration Day, 18 to 22 cents. Welcome back, swamp. Your order is a direct attack. Utah tribe seeks exemption from Biden drilling pause. China-Taiwan tensions rise days after Biden presidency. Yay, more war! According to UK medical officer, vaccinated people may still spread CCP virus. If masks and social distancing work, why aren't the numbers going down? We predicted they would open things up after the election. Why are they opening up the areas with the higher infection rate? Oh, I forgot. Impeachment trial bad for the country. They've done a lot of things bad for the country, but blame others for it. Woman almost killed for her faith, recalls horror living under communist terror. And give it time, we're almost there. Defense Intelligence Agency buys phone location data without warrant. Video shows Trump's Washington hotel lobby serving as rest area for police officers on Inauguration Day. I'm wondering why they didn't provide any police for the anti-police riots. Oh, that's right, they were the bad guys before the election. Don't exploit pandemic to push big government takeover of economy. Alberta Premier calls Keystone cancellation disrespect to Canada. World Health Organization changes CCP virus test criteria in an attempt to reduce false positives. Just another coincidence. Texas sues Biden over deportation freeze order. Twitter sued by child trafficking victim. Good thing they passed Section 230 of the Internet Decency Act that protects big tech. Who was the president that led that one? Oh, just another coincidence we ignore. ISIS claims responsibility for Iraq suicide attacks killing at least 32. They know they can get away with it now. They'll be chopping off heads on TV again in no time. Biden opening approval rating below that of Trump and Obama. Antifa-related Twitter accounts suspended after Inauguration Day riots. Now, I wonder why they weren't suspended before. 4 years ago or 4 months ago. Oh, that's right. They served their purpose. UK bans passengers from Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of Congo to control spread of COVID variant. How come they aren't calling them racist? Grassley calls on Biden to condemn Antifa rampage in Portland and Seattle. But they said they were peaceful protests, and Antifa Antifa was a myth, and they wouldn't condemn anything while those Democrat governors did nothing when they were happening. South Korean social media influencer dropped by Chinese media agency for insulting China. The same type of thing happens here when you say things certain people don't like. The cancel culture. Fauci contradicts CNN report, says Biden vaccine distribution not starting from scratch. Article of impeachment filed against Biden. I wonder if CNN head Jeff Zucker is going to force a narrative there too, like they did with Trump.
We're moving towards impeachment. I mean, we shouldn't pretend, this is going one way, and so all these moves are moves towards impeachment. So don't lose sight of what the big story is.
Forget things like facts and evidence. YouTube removes portions of dislikes from Biden videos, according to its spam. Expert warns of devastating economic impact of rejoining Paris Climate Accord, which most people don't even have a clue what it is. They'll just blame Trump anyway. Beijing building military drones to rival U.S. in war, leaked file shows. Well, we stopped them from stealing our intellectual property for a while. They can start it up again now that the swamp's in power. Good job. Biden tosses Trump's deregulation orders, but when Trump tosses out anything Obama did, they criticized him. Double standard. Amazon offers to help Biden administration with CCP virus vaccination distribution, since they didn't want to help before the election. Biden releases national COVID strategy. Will require overseas travelers test negative. What a racist.
Nancy Pelosi proposed the No Ban Act, which would be congressional limitation on what President Trump's actually able to do with that travel restriction.
According to Pelosi, House will move immediately on pandemic relief, since they didn't want to do anything before the election without inserting their agenda. Man accused of striking police with bat at Capitol said, "I'm not here for Trump." Biden administration starts by rolling back Trump programs focusing on racial equality, because apparently things aren't equal. We did have record low unemployment for all minority groups, some historic record lows. But it's not equal opportunity anymore, it's equal outcome. Whatever. If Trump impeachment moves forward, Biden can forget about unity. Biden orders Census Bureau to include illegal immigrants in apportionment. Trump cheered by supporters upon landing in Florida. Portland police arrest 8 after agitators vandalized Democratic Party offices. They can burn down our businesses, that's fine, but don't dare vandalize swamp buildings. Oh, that was before the election. Federal court blocks Obamacare mandate forcing doctors to perform transgender surgery. Ideological alignment pushing America towards totalitarianism, expert warns. Biden to cancel Trump's 1776 commission that promotes America's founding values, because now America's bad. Beijing regime sanctions Pompeo and other Trump officials over the tough China policies. Yeah, we're back to giving them everything while we get nothing. Good job. Yellen vows to curb China's economic abuse by deploying a full array of tools. Had Trump done that, he'd be called a racist. Oh wait, he was called a racist for doing that, but now it's okay. Double standard. Almost 12,000 doses of vaccine spoiled during transport. That's swamp efficiency. China takes on new rhetoric to blame U.S. for pandemic. They're taking a stab at the progressive playbook. They caused the problem. They blame you for it. Biden to rely on executive orders and appointees to push progressive agenda. Trump's anti-communist legacy. Trump issues memo protecting some Venezuelans living in the U.S. from deportations. Funny, since they said he was going to rip people out of their homes and he's a racist and blah, 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 blah. Steele leaked to media because FBI reopened Clinton email case, documents show.
This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
It makes it a little hard for us to do an investigation. When you finally do get the information, they wipe their phones. They may claim that it's an accident. I don't know one person, but 10 times you would have had to go through and put the wrong password in. One of my staff actually walked me through the process of how complicated it would be to actually have this accident. So they had this accident on 30 phones.
According to Biden's top diplomat nominee, Trump was right with tougher approach to China. But before the election, he was xenophobic. He was wrong on everything. And after the election, he was right about many things. And here's my point in all this. The proof, the evidence of manipulation by career politicians, mainstream media, and big tech, provided by none other than Nancy Pelosi.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. It's a tactic.
Nicholas Sandmann was a 16-year-old Covington Catholic high school student, and he was widely portrayed by media as being aggressive, racist, and showing white privilege. He became a hate figure for the left and the anti-Trump brigade because he stood in his Make America Great Again cap while Native American man Nathan Phillips beat a drum and sung a song. And
it's this shot here that bothers me the most, I think. He's sort of standing in his face. He is trying to intimidate.
Well, respect, and it's pure hate.
All of this on the backdrop of 2 years since President Trump was inaugurated.
He called it pure hate. Well, it turns out that Sandmann was involved in a peaceful right to life protest, and the other group protesting Native American issues came to them and challenged them. All Sandmann did was stand his ground.
You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press.
Sandmann and his parents took on major media organisations in a $250 million defamation action and have now settled with the prestigious Washington Post. They've already settled with CNN.
Nah, nothing can get by you. Let me guess. We should be looking forward, not back. I want people to answer for their discretions. But if they all do it, I need some examples, some facts, some evidence of conservatives or Republicans using the same tactics.
We call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest.
There is ample evidence of collusion in plain sight.
And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press.
We're moving towards impeachment.
So they have that validation.
When and if you finally do figure it out, apology accepted. I don't know. Just call it how I see it.